Well, happening now, the fourth COVID-19 death has been reported in Chautauqua County. What we know next. Plus, Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist joins us live to talk about how COVID-19 continues to affect our area and brings an update on the city's efforts to contain it.
Well, the clouds are around out there downtown, as you see from the News Now cam, and that'll continue through the day. But is there any better weather ahead? We'll talk about it next as the News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now on this Monday. I'm Justin Gould. Our top story, one more person has died as a result of COVID-19 infection in Chautauqua County. Officials say the case, which was first reported on Saturday, resulted in the death of a man in his 60s. Health officials say that man lived in the 1st COVID-19 MAP battalion, which is in the northeast part of the county. Now, this is the 4th COVID-19 related death reported in Chautauqua County since the outbreak began. There remain a total of 36 confirmed cases, with 5 active right now and 28 others have recovered. In Cattaraugus County, officials say 2 additional cases were reported on Sunday. The 40th case involves a woman who lives in the northwest quadrant of the county, who had no significant travel history but developed a persistent cough, headaches, and body aches. The 41st confirmed case involves a female healthcare worker living in the northwest part of the county. While working at a nursing home in Buffalo, officials said she had direct contact with the positive COVID-19 coworker and patient. There are now a total of 41 confirmed cases, 13 active cases, and 26 people have recovered from the virus in Cattaraugus County. Well, New York is now banding together with 6 nearby states to purchase equipment and supplies that sometimes have been hard to come by during this coronavirus pandemic. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the news yesterday. He says New York is now buying about $2 million worth of medical supplies per year. The other states joining the consortium plan to spend about $5 billion per year.
We're going to form a consortium with our 7 Northeast partner states, which buy about $5 billion worth of equipment and supplies. That will then increase our market power when we're buying. And we will buy as a consortium, price as a consortium for PPE equipment, ventilators, medical equipment, whatever we need to buy when you put all those hospitals together.
The governor says by working together, they'll have stronger purchasing power and improve their clout with global suppliers. Now, just a few moments ago on his Monday morning update, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced new guidelines for regions to look at in regards to reopening. We'll have much more on WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app a little later on today. Well, scientists, health officials, and even President Donald Trump all have different ideas about when the world will have a coronavirus vaccine. And in some cases, the timelines are in direct conflict. Medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen explains why.
Sunday night, President Trump was quite sure about the prospect of a vaccine against COVID-19.
We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year. By the end of the year, have a vaccine.
But not everyone seems so sure. Dr. Deborah Birx, coordinator of the White House coronavirus response, was cautious Sunday about whether a vaccine would be ready by January, saying it depended on the progress of clinical trials.
On paper, it's possible. It's whether we can execute around the globe.
Dr. Anthony Fauci also cautious, saying January is possible, but
what might happen is that people months from now will say, well, you said we were going to have a vaccine in January. I didn't say that. I said we're going to shoot to be able to have one.
And a scientist at the University of Oxford had to walk back a statement his colleague made that she was 80% confident the Oxford vaccine would work.
I certainly wouldn't put the possibility at 80%. That's a pretty big number.
While the world waits for a vaccine, several U.S. teams, at the company Regeneron, for example, and at Vanderbilt University, are working on a treatment for people infected with COVID-19 that could come along faster. It's called a monoclonal antibody. They hope to start studies in the coming months. People who've survived COVID-19 develop antibodies to the virus. Scientists take the most powerful antibodies and synthesize them in a lab and give them as a drug to people sick with coronavirus. And for now, coronavirus patients have remdesivir, the first drug that's been shown to have an impact against coronavirus in a clinical trial.
We intend to get that to patients in the early part of this next week, beginning to work with the government, which will determine which cities are most vulnerable.
We don't know if remdesivir saves lives. Early results are inconclusive, but it did shave 4 days off recovery time for hospitalized patients. That's why scientists continue to look for something even better against COVID-19.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. In regards to remdesivir, President Trump is urging the FDA to move as quickly as possible with approving it to treat the virus. While New York's pause order remains in effect for another 2 weeks, Americans in more than 30 other states are starting to see relaxed restrictions right now. More than 100 people took to the streets late last week in a rally protesting those restrictions here in New York. The rally was part of a statewide protest dubbed Rally to Free New York, which was hosted by the Community Outreach Initiatives and the Constitutional Coalition of New York State. Spokesperson Garrett Kane argues that state leaders should have left the decisions to close down to locals.
Whose job isn't essential if they're providing for a family or providing for loved ones? I think right from the beginning, Chautauqua, with the smart business owners and the smart leaders that we have, could assess the situation day by day. If things get bad, we reel it back in. If things stay good, we gradually keep moving forward versus just sitting on our hands and waiting for the dictator to tell us when to go.
Now, by next Sunday, May 10th, more than 40 states nationwide will have partially reopened. At Summit Friday's protests say they will continue to gather every week until New York's restrictions are lifted. Well, the Chautauqua Institution is now transitioning to online programming for this summer's season. Officials say due to the COVID-19 outbreak, they will be holding daily programs online in order to help prevent the possible virus spread. The institution is offering full refunds for services, gate passes, hotel reservations, and single event tickets now. Those who have made those purchases will be sent an email with more information on how they can obtain a refund. Now, depending on government and public health regulations going forward, the institution says they may operate a limited range of facilities and services such as dock installation and service and recreational facilities like food service targeted for property owners there. Well, hopefully everybody is having a good Monday, and we thank you so much for joining us here on WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear in our coverage of COVID-19. Got to say hello to Lori. Good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Hello to Allison. Hopefully you're having a good day. Good to see Butch on the broadcast. Justin, Tony, and Pam is watching. Thank you all so much for joining us now. Let's get a check of our First Defense weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. Happy Monday to you, Dakota. It was absolutely a beautiful weekend. Saturday, I got to spend a little bit of time outside on my property, and I even got a little sunburn, so you can tell summer's coming.
Yes, indeed. And I went out on Sunday, and you can't really tell with my suit jacket on. But yeah, I got a little sunburned on Sunday. I'll tell you a little more about that during the full weather segment. But hey, here's a look at Salamanca. Not a whole lot of sun out there. 40 degrees is the current temperature out there and just lots of clouds around. But hey, the radar is dry. There's no rain going on today, and it's going to remain that way through the day here. But wouldn't you know it, Mother Nature continues her sick and cruel joke. The National Weather Service has issued a freeze watch. Can you believe this? We're in May and we're talking about a freeze. It's not uncommon. The average date of our last freeze down on essentially down here is not until like the middle of the month. So what we keep saying every year, don't plant anything you want to keep until after Memorial Day. That's around the truth around here. 69 was the high yesterday. Did you get out and enjoy it? Lots of sunshine yesterday. We officially did not squeak out that 70. We stayed in the upper 60s all day, but man, that felt great when the average high is 64 and 88 and 21 are essentially in the record books for today. There's the News Now cam, basically just showing you those clouds abode. We're at 40. This is a stark comparison to where we were at this hour yesterday with a northwest wind of 13, got a wind gust of 21, and the wind chill is down to freezing. Yikes. Man, it's cold out there. 46 to 52 through the day today. Lots of clouds. There might be some partial sun breaks later in the day. Otherwise chilly. There will be a stiff breeze out of the northwest, 7 to 18 miles per hour. That'll make it feel just a little bit cooler out there. More colder air returns for the week and maybe some white stuff toward the weekend. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. Justin.
All right, Dakota, not looking forward to that, but thank you anyways. Coming up next, Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist, you see there, joins us live to talk more about the COVID-19 outbreak and the city's continued response. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Joining us on the broadcast to talk more about the COVID-19 outbreak and the city's response to it is Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist. Mayor, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk to you.
First off, it's been almost 2 weeks now since COVID-19 really changed the way many people live their lives here in our area. What's the latest in the effort to respond to the virus here locally?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on. First and foremost, we as a city are looking for ways to start to reopen. We're putting together a plan to ensure that we start to bring our workers back, that we can also continue with social distancing and really prevent any future spread. That also includes trying to look at how do we open the city back up to the public in a safe and socially responsible way. So my team has been working on that plan so that we're ready to go when the time comes to start to open the city back up in phased implements. I'll also say from the city's perspective, we've been working with businesses to try to help them put together their own plan to start to reopen, start to jumpstart the economy. And that's kind of our biggest focus right here, right now for the city.
Now, last week, many residents took to the streets to voice their displeasure with really how long it's taken to reopen, and they're calling on leaders to lift those businesses' restrictions. Seeing that protest on Friday and hearing those concerns, how do you balance freedom yet public safety amid this pandemic?
Well, there's definitely a balance. And as you know, there were no arrests. The protests were absolutely peaceful. And we always want to appreciate folks' right to protest. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that our community stays healthy and is also staying home. I get the intent to protest. It saddens me that so many people came together in such a small space amidst this virus. But as you know, we allowed it peacefully. There were no issues. But I'll tell you, it is a hard balance, right? And right now, the biggest thing that on my mind is making sure that we don't lose any resident lives here in the city of Jamestown. That's why we take the things that, we actually take the actions that we do in order to protect our residents and our community. And it's shown in the numbers. It really has shown that our residents have genuinely stayed home and have stayed healthy.
Has anyone reached out to you to voice their concerns during this time?
We absolutely get a ton of phone calls and emails throughout the day. and throughout the week on concerns for opening up. Most of the responses, though, are just people looking for help in terms of a plan to reopen or just to provide some positive words of encouragement during this time, which has really been a good thing for our office. I know our council members have also fielded calls along the way, so we've talked about those things. But for the most part, I think people are trying to do what's right in this time, which is just to stay home and recognize that we're almost over that curve and we're almost getting ready to be back to normal.
Now, last week, you held 2 live town halls on Facebook and then one via the telephone. What feedback have you got from those venues?
Well, we got some great feedback from our residents in terms of those looking to open back up, as well as just some general concerns that we were able to address. There were some simple things that we've heard from things like yard waste site reopening. Being able to do that for our residents in a very limited way while also maintaining social distancing was a really important thing. And some of the feedback that we got, we were able to make that work in conjunction with the BPU. I know a lot of our residents are cleaning up their properties and they want a place for those things to go. Some of the other concerns was just making sure that we provide information to the public on how things are going to open up. And I know that we've tried to be very responsive. I've tried to be very responsive as mayor to the public when things are changing, when things are staying the same, or when there's some new opportunity for our residents. So we're going to continue that. We're going to continue making sure that everyone knows when things are opening up, how they're opening up, and my staff and I will be here to assist any business and really any opportunity once the time comes.
And to that point, there's still a lot of uncertainty out there
Right.
about whether some of these staple festivals, like say the Lucille Ball Comedy Fest, for example, will be held this summer. I know that's a big economic driver. In regards to that economic impact that COVID-19 has placed so far, what does it look like? What's the forecast going forward?
Obviously having those festivals and having tourism here to the area is a large chunk of our budget and a large chunk of the city's operations. We're predicting, our comptroller's office is predicting anywhere from a $1 million to $4 million deficit, which has a huge impact, which will result in the cut of services in the city, at least for the rest of the year. We're currently just kind of waiting and seeing where this is going to go. We're trying to get a little better understanding of what sales tax and other revenues are going to look like as we head towards the end of May. But we've got to be prepared for it. We're doing the tough work of trying to figure out what services may need to be suspended for this year, which projects may need to be postponed. It's not pleasant, and this is going to be a very difficult year for municipalities if there is no federal aid given.
And I know you've called on federal lawmakers before to give aid, especially to local governments. They've done it for the people with stimulus checks, for businesses with loan programs. Has there been any talk that you've heard in regards to helping governments across the nation?
I've raised the flag every chance that I've gotten that the local municipalities, which are the ones hosting the police, the fire, the public safety, in some cases, the emergency response, those are the entities that are getting little to nothing from the federal government and are expending more than they ever have in order to respond to this crisis. I have been in contact with our congressional representatives, and I'll tell you that they've all been very supportive of federal funding. And now it's just a matter of them breaking through some of that gridlock in Washington and actually getting something done for the municipalities here. It's not just the city of Jamestown facing this crisis. It's a lot of different cities across Western New York. And if something isn't done, we're going to be facing a lot worse than we imagine.
Now, into that point, information and having accurate information has really proved to be vital for everybody during this pandemic. Where do you get your information from, and what's the process been like with communicating with the other local levels of government, county, state, and maybe even federal?
Sure. So there's a lot of different ways that I get my information. Many times I'm watching the governor's briefing just like everyone else may be during their day. But there is also a call for elected officials every day through the governor's office that helps provide us some additional information and clarification. There is also a call with the county executive that happens once a week, so we get a chance to interact with the other mayors and supervisors across Chautauqua County. We do have some calls with our federal elected officials as well, just to talk about some of the things going on with stimulus packages. And then personally, I'm in contact with a whole bunch of different mayors, including Mayor Rosas up in Dunkirk pretty frequently, in order to figure out what's going on, what are the best practices, and what should we be doing going forward just to ensure the health and safety of our residents.
And how big of a piece will that collaboration play into going forward, do you think?
You know, it's absolutely crucial to have that collaboration. Right now, we don't want to be divided as a community. We need our local representatives, we need our county, we need the state, we need the federal government all to work together in order to move us forward in this pandemic. You know, if that doesn't happen, if something breaks in the pipeline, then we've got a big problem where we're stuck holding the bag and we're stuck trying to figure it out for ourselves here in the city. You know, I'd rather be collaborative. I'd rather work with other cities, work with the state, work with the federal government to come to a resolution, which is really just in the best interest of all of our residents here in the city.
And Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist on the show today. Finally, as we head into summer and health experts continue to monitor COVID-19, what do you think your role and subsequent message will be for those here in Jamestown?
Well, I'm very thankful for the health experts that we have here in the city and in the county. They do a wonderful job, getting us information we need. But as we get into the summer, some hard decisions are going to need to be made in regards to the use of our parks, in regards to the use of construction projects. As we go into the end of May, we'll need to start making decisions that are obviously going to impact residents. We're hoping that we have some more information as we get closer towards the end of the month to have a better understanding of where kind of our budget is going to lie. But we also want to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to prevent any further spread or even another spike of this virus during the summertime. We've got to be careful. We're not out of the woods yet. We still want people to stay home. But if we suddenly just open up the faucet, open up all of this area without any type of planning to prevent further spread, we're going to see another spike.
All right, Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist joining us on the broadcast today. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate having you here.
Anytime. My office is always here to help. Thanks so much.
Now let's get a check of our weather forecast with Dakota.
Well, May the 4th be with you, ladies and gentlemen. And if you went out yesterday, you might have saw this. A lot of sunshine out there. I went down to the Blueberry Hill Golf Course down in Russell, and don't worry, we were social distancing. We were 6 feet apart. We had our own carts, but man, it was fantastic out there. Hope you went out and enjoyed it because it was fantastic. Here are the high temperatures from around the region yesterday. Randolph was the hot spot in the southern tier at 71. Also the same at Dunkirk at the airport. 70 at the airport in Erie. 69 in Jamestown. Also in Clymer and Olean at 68 degrees. This is the warmest day we have had, I want to say, since last year. I don't think we've had 70-degree temperatures at all so far in 2020, and this was fantastic. Are we there now? Well, no. We're at 40 here in town, 42 in Mayville, 44 in Fredonia. Look at the Lake Erie water temperature. It's now up to 46 degrees, 45 over there in Erie, and 36 over there in Olean. You're still stuck into the upper 30s as of noon hour right now. Let's take a look at what's going on here. There is a freeze watch that is in effect for Chautauqua County. That is the only county in the southern tier that is under this freeze watch. Basically, it's for, Chautauqua County and points northward. This starts 1 a.m. tonight and will last until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And what this means is that temperatures are going to be dropping below freezing. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 20s to the mid 30s right near the Lake Erie shoreline. So the lower 30s will be basically the inland areas and the valleys. And some frost can definitely kill tender vegetation and crops. So it's the same thing we say every year. Do not plant anything you intend to keep until right around Memorial Day. That's right around the average date of our last frost around here. So let's show you where the temperatures are going. This afternoon, we're not going to be into the 60s or the 70s. Temperatures will be down into the 40s throughout much of the day. Maybe some spots may hit the lower 50s. Here we go. This is just by sunrise time tomorrow morning. Look at these low temperatures. 28 in Randolph, 27 in Franklinville, 30 in Jamestown, 29 Clymer. So when you get below freezing, that is the prime environment. When you have clearing skies and temperatures below freezing, that is the prime environment for some frost to set up here. And right near the Lake Erie shoreline, upper 30s, no frost there. It's going to be well inland away from here. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see that frost advisory extended over into Cat County as well, and temperatures will slightly rebound into the upper 40s to lower 50s tomorrow. Here's what's going on. Just a whole lot of clouds here with a west to northwest wind aloft, dragging in more of that cloud cover from our source region. Severe weather down here essentially in the Midwest, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Look at all these severe thunderstorm warnings popping up here. That's all those flashing yellow polygons. There's a severe thunderstorm watch out here, but severe weather will stay south of us for the foreseeable future. Here's the zone forecast for today. The Lake Erie shoreline. This is likely going to be the warmer spot today, right near the water. You might get to around 50 degrees, more clouds than sun with a healthy northwest wind. That'll obviously make you feel a lot colder out there. Inland areas today, upper 40s is the best we're going to be able to do here. Maybe 50 around Randolph. A colder day with some limited sun sprinkled in at times. You want your future? I've got it. How about the next 7 days that are coming up? 50 tomorrow. And again, that might be a bit conservative. We might stay probably into the upper 40s throughout much of the day. 48 on Wednesday. Small chance for a rain shower there. Thursday, we warm back up into the lower 50s. Another chance for a rain shower. Then temperatures fall right down a cliff as we head into the later part of the weekend into the weekend. Both Saturday and Sunday, chance for some snowflakes likely Friday night, Saturday, all the way through Sunday. Way too early to know if that will see any accumulation out of it, but temperatures way too cold for this time of the year into the upper 30s to lower 40s. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. We're back in 60 seconds. Stay with us.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
This is PJ Wendell, Chautauqua County Executive, with an important message. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, and it is inevitable that there will be cases of COVID-19 in our community. We are preparing for this reality and how it will affect our county. I'm greatly concerned about the economic impact that the closure of local businesses is having on our owners, operators, and employees, but we need to make every effort to protect our residents and our healthcare workers. These strategies decrease the opportunities for people to be in close contact with each other and spread disease. If you absolutely do not need to go out, please don't. Thank you.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Not tomorrow, but right now on the WNY News Now mobile app. Follow local news as it happens.
The mother of a special education student at Maple Grove High School is speaking out.
And stay informed with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network.
And Lake Erie is covered in less than 1% of ice as this winter season has entered its peak.
Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back. Well, it's going to be a great week for Star Wars fans. Not only will there be a new release, but it's also National Star Wars Day today. The holiday is a pun on the phrase that Dakota mentioned, "May the Force be with you," and it was started by fans themselves. Large events and parties will likely be limited this year due to COVID-19, but don't worry because today Disney is debuting a new 8-part Dooku series called Disney Gallery: The Mandalorian. It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the popular Mandalorian series was created, including interviews and never-before-seen footage. The inner Star Wars geek in me is very happy. Going to be checking that out this afternoon on Disney+. Hopefully everybody is having a good day, and we thank you so much for joining us here for WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear in regards to the novel coronavirus outbreak and its effects here locally. I want to take our last minute here to look at the comments, and got to say hello to Lori. She's asking us if the local Tops will be limiting purchases of meat. I know Tops, in regards to the regional, has announced that at some locations they will when supply is limited. So that's a great idea, and we will be following up with local tops and running a story later on this week in regard to that. We thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Got to say hello to Jennifer. Ron, good to see you. Sandra, thanks so much for joining us here. Andy, good to see you. Thanks for being on the broadcast. Got to say hello to Heather. She says we need some summer. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like summer is going to be coming our way anytime soon. If you missed anything that we talked about, don't worry. We have it posted right now on WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app, which you can download by searching WNY News Now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. That's it for us today. Of course, we're back tomorrow right here at noon with local health officials talking about their continued effort for COVID-19 and how testing has been going here. Hope to see you then.